My whole life was built around sports, athletics, both because my father was a famous broadcaster in the San Francisco Bay Area and also worked for ESPN when it was just coming out. He was the announcer for Stanford football. He was the sports guy that covered the Warriors and the Giants and the A's and the 49ers and the Raiders when they were all winning Super Bowls. So I was around all of that stuff my whole life. That was like my normal everyday life. I played just about every sport you could possibly play. I ended up playing college football at the San Jose State University and was shaped by that experience in ways that I never would have anticipated. And I recall two significant moments, the way that God used football to kind of bring me to where I am now. I did not know any Christians. My parents were not Christians. I had zero background or context for Christianity. I had no idea what Jesus had to do with Christmas or anything else, other than I knew his name as a cuss word when I missed a shot or missed a tackle or whatever. I remember my freshman year playing against the University of Miami when they were the national champions that year, and they had the Heisman Trophy winner, Gino Torretta. I had probably the best game that I ever played in my life. And I remember getting up at the 50-yard line and shaking his hand. We walked away, and I remember this profoundly vaporous, empty feeling that I had after that moment. I can't even, it was a kind of emptiness that shook me for about 2.5 years. I said, is this what life is for? If this is what I've been building my whole life for, and it just feels empty. And it scared the heck out of me, and I couldn't shake it, but I had no idea what to do with it. Fast forward, I ended up having a career-ending injury. I broke my pelvis and began to think even more about what's my life been about and what's it for. And then in 1991, I was 21 years old, or just about 21 years old, on New Year's Day. This was not planned in any way. It was not like I woke up on January 1st with a New Year's resolution, but I woke up. I will say I had a little bit of a headache from things that I was doing the night before. And I was walking out of the hotel across to my car, and in the middle of the street, God just said to me, "You're mine." I was like, okay, what do I do now? I went home, and bizarrely, my grandma, who was not a Christian, bought me a Bible for Christmas. I have no idea why, but she must have looked at me and said, "You look like you need a Bible." And so I took the Bible. I don't know if you've done this before, but I was like, all right, I know you're kind of associated with this thing. Could you just tell me something that I need to hear? So open it up, goes right to Romans chapter 12. And I'm thinking, I have no experience with the Bible. So I'm like, what do Romans have to do with God? Why are they in the Bible? But I kept reading on, and I got to the second verse of Romans 12. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may know the will of God. And it was like a shaft of light gave me immediate access to understanding the reason why my life was so empty. So I knew that the vapor that I was feeling was because I was conformed to this pattern of this world. And then I knew that somehow to discern God's will, I needed to know the Bible. That's what I took away from that. And so my life since then, since January 1st, has been trying to live out that verse, trying to understand what God's will is, not just for me, but for all of us. And the bifocal focus of, on the one hand, trying to discern what are the ways that we are being conformed to the world, but then also what are the ways in which the scriptures are helping us to understand what God's will is. I want to just throw that question out. What is the will of God?